here I'll tell you the story of my burnt meal, or that you can learn a lot from your failed upcycled clothing projects. Mariana, fashion upcycler from Eco Fashion Sewing. So this is a garment that I did for my fashion studies. And later on I called it burnt meal because I think it's a design failure. But let me start from the beginning. So this was made for a fictional brand for mums-to-be, and was a brand that makes clothing from eco fabrics, reclaimed fabrics and vintage materials. So to make this garment and a couple of other garments that came with that, I did everything that they taught us. I started with inspirational board, and then I did the design lines. So I did the drawing, sampled the fabrics, and finally I've made the design. But after presenting this garment, I thought it's a failure because it was just looking as an old nightgown. And so I put it at the back of my wardrobe. I didn't touch it for years. But when I started doing workshops and presentations about upcycling fashion, then I thought this garment is really good example that you can start from not having creative skills at all. And at that time I was just thinking, I'm not a creative person, I'm not a designer, I don't have that talent. But the reality is that creativity is more of a skill, and you can build up slowly on that skill. So years after doing this design, I designed the upcycle collection for the first Eco Fashion Week Australia and different kind of upcycled garments. So this is the lesson that my burnt meal taught me. The first thing is that I realized that I need to see the fabric before starting anything designing and any design details. So I needed not just to see the fabric isolated, but also to put it on a stand and just to see how it drapes, to see how it performs, even if it's something for myself, to see it against my skin. So usually when I do something for myself, I'm just looking at the far distance in the mirror and just checking how the fabric or the color or the pattern, how it is against my skin and hair color. So that's the first thing. Also the second, I need to check before even drawing it. I need to check the design details. So this one's done like design wise, all the details were thought on a paper and on a drawing. But in reality, I found out that I need to drape more, and I need to really see and envision as much as possible what the final design will look like. For example, with having the fabric on the stand and then draping laces in different thickness and different laces on the fabric. So at that point I probably would have seen that this is too much lace for me, and it's more older vintage type of style, and I would prefer something minimal, and probably just one or couple of laces would be achieving that style. And the other from design details perspective, so I could have, because it's a summer blouse, I could have do shorter sleeve, again keeping the opening, but also here it is too tight, so it's but let me show you when it's on me, it will be probably better. So on a real person is always better. So when it's closed, it looks like a very closed and old vintage style thing. So shorter sleeve to make a little bit more air into the design, if I can say so. And the collar, probably the neckline should have been more open. This is most related to details of the design. So if I can drape that and envision it just with the fabric before doing any drawings and thinking of the design, I could see some of those things. And the last thing that my burnt meal taught me is that I need to also feel the fabric against the skin. So this fabric, one of them, is jacquard, so it has also silk and a little bit coarser fibers. So it's really rough against the skin. And with knowing that, probably I'll decide on different finishes than the overlocker. So probably I will wrap up and bind those seams just to protect the skin, or the best thing is just to change the fabric with a softer fabric. So these are just small things, but really good lessons about the fabric, about the design details, and about the fabric, how it feels inside against the skin. I hope my burnt meal will encourage you that you can go to your failed or halfly done projects that you don't like and decided to leave and not to finish off. But if you go to these projects, they will tell you a lot, and you can ask why you didn't like it, what exactly you didn't like in that project. Like, is it the fabric, is it the seam finishes, or some design lines, or something else that your project or your burnt meal can tell you. So if you like to see more videos and some upcycle projects with different techniques, just subscribe for ecofashionsewing.com. Mariana, fashion upcycler from Eco Fashion Sewing. See you in the next video.